Hey there. So, a lot of people have been asking me, how do you begin changing your perceptions and beliefs? These are often a part of who we are, and that's a really great question. So, I like to think of it as a 5 step process. I've broken it down into 5 steps. And I would say with my business, Quake Challenge, what I've come to kind of love and enjoy is steps 4 and 5 mostly. That's what my business is going to be concentrating on for you all. The first few steps are really up to you. So I've broken it down into 5 steps, like I said. I think the first thing you have to do in order to change your perceptions and beliefs are just to have a willingness to embrace uncertainty. As humans, uncertainty is uncomfortable. And in the past, we've had to be certain, or if we weren't certain, make a choice and stick with it in order to survive. So that's what our brains are they're kind of made and programmed to do that, just to eliminate uncertainty however we need to. So questioning and changing your perceptions and beliefs first requires a willingness to be uncertain and be uncomfortable and kind of embrace that element of danger. We have to be open to exploring different possibilities and possibly some beliefs that can serve us a little bit better. The second step, I would say, is to practice awareness. And this is just awareness of your thoughts, your emotions. It requires kind of being present, asking yourself, catching yourself in negative thoughts and saying, is this a useful thought? And how are my thoughts behaving? How are they making me feel? And then you can start naming your emotions. That's the second step. So first, openness, willingness to be uncertain and think about adopting new ways. Second, practice being aware. The third thing, again, is kind of up to you, up to us as individuals. We need to decide to create space and begin questioning. So once we're open to changing and we have an awareness of some of the unhealthy thoughts and beliefs that we need to change, then we can start creating space. So when we recognize those things, we pause and we can start naming the assumption or the emotion or reaction that we're having. And we can start asking ourselves why we feel this way. And do I feel this way because I have an insecurity or because I've taken something personally? Well, we don't need to do that. We have all these internal programming beliefs that have served us in the past when we needed them in order to survive. But we live in a place and time where we don't need to think that way anymore. And for the most part, a lot of those old beliefs are hurting our relationships. They're hurting our families. They're hurting ourselves. So the third step, create space and begin questioning. Another part that I think is part of the third step as well is just looking at your environment. This was really hard for me. I had to eliminate some people from my life, and I actually chose to quit my job and focus on my personal growth first. And knowing that I had to bring this to other people, it was a lot of internal searching and trying to think of creative ways to bring this to other people. So that's gonna kind of bring me into step 4, which is starting to make small shifts. So this is where I would love to help other people. So if you're struggling, let's say you're struggling with envy, you're finding yourself jealous of something, you could ask yourself why you're feeling that way and decide, instead of being envious, that this is a conscious decision that you have to make. You can start shifting your brain towards gratitude instead. So rather than thinking of the things you don't have, you can start practicing gratitude for things that you do have. This is a slip and slide in the background that I made for my kids out of a giant tarp. Oh my goodness, that made it into the video. So making small shifts. Envy to gratitude. Okay, so how do you start cultivating gratitude? I incorporate a lot of journaling into my challenge. So every day before you go to bed, at some point throughout the day, but before your head hits the pillow, just write down 3 things that you're grateful for. That can start changing your life really quickly because you just create a habit of looking for things to be grateful for. Another, here's a great one. Are you feeling anxiety? Well, you can decide to start shifting anxiety into the present moment. Anxiety is future-based. It's us worrying and creating scenarios in our minds that might happen in the future. A lot of times they don't happen, and we create all kinds of suffering in our minds, worrying and coming up with things that could happen. We don't have to do that. How do we bring ourselves away from that? It's small shifts. Your brain doesn't like to make giant leaps, so you have to start small. One of the best practices that I know of to bring you into the moment and being present and out of that anxiety mindset is to use your senses. Feel the wind around you. Listen to the neighbors playing in their pool. Touch this piece of paper and think of what went into making this paper. You just anything with your senses. Look at something that's beautiful. Here comes my son, Sawyer. He's walking towards me. He just woke up from a nap. Hi, buddy. Spending time with children or pets is really great practice to bring you into the moment. I'm making a video. Yeah, do you want to come see me for a minute? Come get me a hug if you want. And then you can listen. Spending time with children and pets is another great way to bring you into the moment and practice being present. Let's see here. Grudge. If you're holding a grudge, if you notice yourself being upset, maybe hanging on to some unforgiveness, a great way to sort of make a small shift and start kind of training that out of yourself is to think about, there's lots of ways that you can do this, but think about how wonderful it would be if you'd never had to take anything personally again, and the realization that everything that people do is a reflection of themselves. It's not of you at all. Even if it sounds personal, it's about where they're coming from and their perception. So there's a lot of freedom in that. You don't have to take anything personally. And when you realize that, when you truly realize that, you can take unforgiveness and it turns into compassion because you just feel sorry for people that, they're coming from a certain place in their minds where they're acting in a certain way because they have something that's hurting them. So when you can take a grudge and unforgiveness and just embody compassion, that will shift your perspective really fast. It does take practice though. Lastly, depression. If you struggle with depression, you can acknowledge that. Most depression is based on things that have happened in our past. Again, you can use compassion and not taking things personally to heal that. It can be involved. Sometimes you have to go back through meditation and sometimes with the help of a professional. And you can go back to yourself as a child. As an adult, you can close your eyes and meditate going back to yourself as a small child and sitting with yourself as you go through a trauma or as you go through a painful time. And you can almost reprocess that in your mind and change your perspective and your perceptions on that, and maybe see things that you didn't see in the situation before. So there are a lot of ways to bring in these small shifts into your life, and it's really pretty amazing. And then the last step I would say is to maintain. So you need to maintain your thoughts, you need to maintain your environment, and maintain your healing process. And a lot of this is going to be done by once you have started to kind of learn and practice and embody all of these new concepts and new perceptions that you're adopting, you naturally, I think, have a desire to start serving others and bringing these messages to other people, because people are suffering all around us. And it's really pretty wonderful to realize that all this healing is out there and available. We just have to accept it. And so I think a big part of maintaining is just to share and serve other people. So we've got, how do you change your perceptions and beliefs? You start with the willingness to embrace uncertainty, openness to new thought patterns. Second step is practicing awareness of your thoughts and emotions. The third is creating space and begin questioning. Question your assumption behind the emotion or reaction, and cleansing your environment. That one's really a stopping point for a lot of people, and it almost was for me. We start making small shifts. So recognizing negative emotions and feelings, and just very intentionally and purposefully incorporating some positive emotions into those feelings, and slowly and steadily adding more and more. And then maintaining. So just maintain your thoughts, maintain your environment, maintain your healing, keep the momentum going by serving others. So I look forward to taking this journey with you all. I hope this was helpful. Okay, bye.